I'm now joined by not one but two VC funds. I'm pleased to introduce Haakon Overli. He is coming from Dawn Capital, general partner over there, and the CEO of Octopus Ventures. It is Alliott. Gentlemen, both this week you have announced new funds, and I want to start with Dawn Capital. $235 million is what you've been raising, and more than you aimed for. Where's the interest coming in terms of money flows into your fund? So
I think we're seeing a real shift in US interest. A lot of it, we've been very lucky. We've got huge support from our existing investors. 80% came back. One of them is the EIF, one of them is BBB. But really the extra demand is coming from US investors who are now seeing Europe as a very attractive place to invest in venture. The really sophisticated investors have seen, they've been doing this for decades now, and they've typically been in the big funds like Sequoia or whatever, and they've seen how successful that's been, and then they've invested as the wave has gone from west to east, Chicago, New York, and now they're seeing the next land of opportunities as Europe. Europe, the land of opportunities, Alliott, and of course fundraising continues at Octopus Ventures, 284 million more that's just been announced. You say that this now sets you up to be able to continue when it comes to seed and new ventures. What about the size of checks? Are they getting bigger? Are the valuations getting bigger when you're putting the money to work in the opportunities that you see?
So we've seen a growing trend of really talented entrepreneurs coming to us with fantastic ideas, with a growing global ambition. And we're seeing no shortage of those entrepreneurs come to us, particularly at the seed and Series A level. There has been an increase in funding size over the last 10 years. The Series A used to be about £2 million, and it's not uncommon to see a seed round at this level. But in terms of valuations, I suspect they're stabilising a little bit more in recent months.
At Dawn Capital, you focus particularly on software as a service, SaaS and fintech. Yeah. Where are we seeing the hubs develop in Europe for these particular types of business? Are they growing anywhere nowadays, or is still London the fintech hub? Are we seeing...
No, I think talented entrepreneurs kind of are born everywhere. One of the sort of Silicon Valley myths is that actually most of the entrepreneurs there are not born there. They're exported or imported from elsewhere. So you see talented entrepreneurs across Europe. I think UK is still an important hub, both for software and fintech.
Despite Brexit?
Yeah, I think it has had no impact yet, because this is where the money is, this is where the expertise is. The ecosystem is super important to be able to hire talented people at all levels, and the UK is unparalleled for that.
You see, London, I think, attracted more than $3 billion investment last year, and the UK was just short of $5 billion. And whilst that, I think, puts London head and shoulders above the rest of Europe, we're, within our own portfolio, we've backed entrepreneurs who set up in Lisbon and Stockholm, and then Central and Eastern Europe as well. So, Hawker's absolutely right that the most talented entrepreneurs are seeing the success from their peer group across Europe and starting out wherever they might be.
And what about the industry groups that you're looking at, the vertical within technology that you're looking at? Because you've backed companies such as SwiftKey that was bought by Microsoft, that's in AI. We're looking at Magic Pony, which is video, the area of growth. What verticals are you particularly keen on?
So we always start with the people, and we're quite happy, being bold and taking a risk on an entrepreneur. But having said that, we're seeing a concentration around retail and businesses like Chronext coming from a kind of consumer perspective. We also have B2B plays, which are helping retailers sell more effectively. And likewise, digital health has been a big focus for us in the last 2 years. We've backed 3 or 4 businesses, including Big Health and MediSafe, which are going on to big things at the moment.
Haakon, I want to talk to you about an area of focus for you, which is diversity. It's something you've written on in the British press. How are you ensuring that as these companies that you back scale, they scale with the ethics that you want to see, with the diversity that you want to see?
Yes, it's a question of governance. It's hard for 2 white males to talk about it, but we all have to do what we can, and it starts with governance, and it's the job of a board to set the right directions, and everybody has to do what they can. And we always hire the best, and luckily for us, that recently the 2 best candidates were very talented female venture capitalists. So everybody has to do what they can, and now we're really trying to encourage female founders, which are still underrepresented in every way we can. And I think on governance, I think we can now start talking about where Europe is better at certain things than the US, and governance is certainly one of them. Normally CEO and chairman is split, independent board members, more concerned, more of a culture of these kinds of things. And all the research shows that better governance, better diversity, better all these things leads to better outcomes. So that's a big driver for everyone, and should be for everyone.
Let's talk about outcomes. Let's talk about exits, because as I just mentioned, a couple of the companies that you've been back, we've seen trade sales when it comes to Octopus and indeed Dawn, but we've seen IPOs when it comes to both of the companies that you've backed in the past. I mean, obviously exits is something that draws in new capital to the funds that you've been raising. It proves that you back the right horses. What about 2018? You're both looking at companies that could be exiting. Are you going to see more IPOs than trade sales, do you think?
I think the IPO market is open, and you're seeing a growing cadence of companies being successfully raising money or actually just listing in the case of Spotify on public markets. We're also seeing a growing cadence of entrepreneurs who have the confidence to raise additional money in the private markets and build for a bigger outcome. And the investor groups and syndicates around those entrepreneurs being patient and being willing to back an entrepreneur again in order to see a bigger outcome. And we were talking earlier about Zoopla being one of the very earliest businesses to IPO for more than $1 billion.
Yeah.
And that was seen as something quite unusual at the time. And now you have Spotify IPOing for more than $26 billion. And it set a new ceiling and a new opportunity for European entrepreneurs to target.
Yeah, and I think exits are very important to us. Carry is a big deal of what we do, so you have to have exits to get that. And the IPOs are becoming more important because I think entrepreneurs are back to the growing ecosystem. Entrepreneurs are better, they're better at planning their business, better as a public business, and people are being patient. And both Alliott and I have been lucky enough to return huge amounts of money back to our investors, to make our investors patient so we can be patient with our entrepreneurs. So everything is a virtuous cycle, which is a big change in Europe.